biggest challenge all of our students have. We can talk about numbers and inventories and return on investment. The biggest challenge they all have the next 3, 4, 5 years is absolutely recruiting new people to our industry.
Hi, I'm Dennis McGinn, founder and CEO of vehicle reconditioning and communications company Rapid Recon. At your place, we visit guests at their place of business to engage in conversations about the auto industry. Today, we're talking with Michael Hayes, the director of the NADA Academy and a used car curriculum instructor. We've talked to Michael before, and we're really excited to have him back to find out how many things have changed just since the last time we talked. Welcome, Michael. It's good to have you back.
Great. Thank you very much. It's really great to be here, Dennis.
Previously, we talked about the Academy mostly. The used car market sure has changed even since then. And what does it look like from your perspective as a used car instructor being in front of the people that are out there every day? And what's going on?
Well, it's pretty interesting. It's much like the used car industry we've had for the last 60, 70 years, whatever, that the dealers have been really involved in it. It's a very volatile market, Dennis, as you can imagine. You know, we're coming off 2 years where it's been relatively easy for dealers to be pretty profitable in their pre-owned department. And it's been a very good time for dealers. And it's really driven by the age-old principle of supply and demand. The demand has been higher than the supply, so it's been much easier for all of us to be able to reflect the success that we've had. But things have changed. Things are still in our favor to an extent, but it's way different than it has been the last fall at this time or even in the last 6 months. So the things that we've seen and what's changed in the industry now, and I know when you lead industry numbers, whether it's from Cox Automotive or any other ones, I know they publish a lot, Jonathan Smoke, I always read what he's putting out there. But our day's supply of vehicles, obviously, which is travel rate as well as availability, is basically equal to what it was pre-COVID. So, we aren't working on a 5 and 10 and 15-day supply that we were, last year at this time. The average dealer has, 35, 40, 45, 50, 60-day supply in some cases. Just came out of a class this week, and we always calculated day supply, and students within our class, so we got 30 right in front of me this week, and I had 35 last week. We have a few dealers that are still below 30 days supply of used vehicles, but the bulk of the students are in the mid 30s to high 30s to low 40s. We still have some with 50 and 60 days supply of vehicles. And when you ask the students what's changed, and it mirrors pretty much what we see nationally with a few exceptions. The more expensive cars, the late model cars, are the ones that are much more difficult to sell now. We were used to selling these for the price of when they were new for a couple of years, because a couple of months, should I say, because of the lack of new vehicle inventory. But that has come back to earth now. Used car prices are still high, but they are declining. And when you look at what most industry analysts think and what we see is cars are depreciating again. Okay, we had a short time where they didn't necessarily depreciate or depreciation was very low, but we are back. The market is more of a normal, whatever normal is, for a pre-owned department. But one thing that hasn't changed, Dennis, is it's still the laws of supply and demand are alive and kicking. Okay, so we know why this is happening. The demand has dropped a little bit, whether some areas are in a technical recession or not. And the easy pickings that we had the last year and a half has slowed down. So supply and demand is becoming much more of a more normal type relationship that we've been used to. Doesn't mean it's not a profitable opportunity for us, but it means that we have to really pay attention to all the details. If I may, before we go to the next question, I would like to think I think that the downside of being as successful as we've been in the past, we have an old saying about the FDH syndrome. Sometimes we get fat, dumb, and happy when things are going well, and we don't necessarily pay attention to a lot of the metrics that have led to our success in the past when it becomes too easy, if it's fair to say. And it has been easier And we're moving now, at least on the used car side, we're moving now into the point where it's not as easy. We're going to have to work a little harder, do the processes that worked for us in the past. But then how do we maximize our capabilities by still working the supply demand relationship as much in our favor as we possibly can?
That's really good insight. Going a little further into what you're seeing, the retail industry has had its challenges. Obviously, recruiting and retaining technicians for some time. And are we going to see the same thing on the variable side as these dynamics change?
Oh, no question about it. That we are. We saw it before that too on the variable side. I mean, recruiting professional salespeople is very difficult. The NADA always does a workforce study every year. And traditionally speaking, the highest turnover position in our store, Dennis, is salespeople. When you look at the average dealership, the highest turnover position in the store. And 2 years ago, that number was like at 70% turnover. Because whether we don't spend enough time, and it's various issues with spending enough time selecting the people that are going to be successful, whether we don't spend enough time onboarding them to be successful, whether it's spend enough time holding people accountable, setting up accountabilities. This is what's going to lead to your success. I don't think
Yeah.
that the average dealership has spent the amount of time that they needed to do to help ensure that. We've made it too easy. I mean, let's face it, we all have stories, and we probably have done this in the past. Somebody comes in and we decide in 10 minutes they'd be a perfect salesperson. I'm not sure how you can anticipate that in a 10-minute conversation. So I think one of the challenges that we have before COVID, it still is now in COVID, was what kind of a selection process do we have? Do we have several interviews? Do we have them demonstrate a capability of how they have shown in customer service in any previous position they have done? I think what some of our best dealers and more progressive dealers do is they don't look to somebody with automotive experience to come be a professional salesperson. We look in other industries so that they don't bring a bad habit to us, because this has changed. I know you've seen this. I mean, think about us as consumers. How much has what we do change? And while thankfully, I think I'm a believer, and most studies would say that the big percentage of our people still want to finalize a transaction at a dealership so they can come, touch, and feel and drive the car. But being able to do more and more and more online, we need to ensure that our people have the skills to do that and the desire to do that. So sometimes getting people, not sometimes, a lot of times getting people from outside of our industry, they're much more attuned to that. And they don't think they have to get into the old paradigm. But to your point, the biggest challenge all of our students have, we can talk about numbers and inventories and return on investment. The biggest challenge they all have the next 3, 4, 5 years is absolutely recruiting new people to our industry. It's there. It's a big part of what we do, is to help them understand what we can do better. And I think the best dealers understand that we have a long ways to go to be able to do that. And one of the class, I spoke with a class early this morning, a new class that's here, and I highlighted this to them. And I said, big challenge is this: are we such a fantastic business with high energy and fantastic opportunities? And we do have these opportunities, that people know that this is a great place to work, that we have a list of people that have raised their hands and said, if you ever have a chance, an opportunity for me to come to work in your industry or work your dealership, please call me. And we don't have enough of those lists in our stores. So, because as we both have been in the auto industry for, most of our lives. There are some fantastic opportunities available in dealerships for all kinds of skills. And we need to make sure we get the word out and share that with people so that they realize the opportunities that they have, and that they do get rewarded for their results, which, I think that's a really positive message, to be able to get people to consider us, to be able to come back to our industry. It's a huge challenge, as you said, in any area, technicians, sales, any place.
Looking at the next 6 months, a year, and relating to that opportunity, as things get back on track, margin compressions becomes an issue again, as it is starting to. More technology starts coming into these cars. You got the electric vehicles starting to get rolling. What do you see that would attract the right people that you're talking about here? That for them to get excited about coming from a non-car background.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's interesting you just say that because you kind of highlighted about the technology side. It's always mystified me how somebody would fight to get in line to go work at an Apple store to make $45,000 a year. And when you ask them, what
Yeah,
do you like to do? Oh, I love to share technology. Well, think about that, and you again kind of noted it. The biggest piece of technology a consumer ever going to have is their automobile. I mean, that is
yeah,
it's unbelievable. And this is long before EVs. I mean, ICE vehicles even now. I mean, they have so much technology in them, which makes our lives easier uh, overall. But the point is, this is the biggest piece of technology a customer wants. So maybe we've recruited automobile salespeople for the wrong things. You still want to build relationships and all, but if you like technology, what better thing to do than to sell technology that consumers are going to invest, $30 and $40,000 in for a average new one,
yeah,
and 20 to 30,000 for an average used one. And understanding that, I think, is a big process. So changing the concept a little bit. I mean, a really truly professional salesperson now has to be pretty aware of it, or you're going to be a dinosaur pretty soon.
yeah,
So I think that's a big piece of it to your head. We are in the technology business, and it's only getting more and more so that way. As we hopefully get a piece of selling subscriptions and over-the-air opportunities as well. That lines into it. From a technician point of view, as you mentioned earlier, we need electrical engineers, which we've quite frankly needed for the past few years as well. Um, so
sure.
I think we've marginalized the kinds of things that we need to do to be successful in our store. And it takes a long time to overcome this reputation that we've had in the past. Um, but it's changing so fast that I think it's once it's explained and people know the opportunities and how we do them. And I mean, something as simple as, when you come to work for us in the service as a service advisor now, you're operating from an iPad, okay? You're walking around with all of the information that you should have for this customer that's coming in. And now we know as much as your pizza delivery guy knows about you, right? Because they've always done a better job than us, is knowing what the customer ordered last. So, but to being
Yeah,
able, we have the capabilities to do that. There's all kinds of systems out there, but delivering them in the store is that next step. So we can match, I think, what anybody wants if they want to be involved with the latest technology and things like that. Boy, any progressive auto dealer has an option for you to be able to be involved, and quite frankly, still a fun industry. And it is fun. It's I always like to say that I sold cars for a long time at our family dealership when I was a dealer, and I never remember delivering a vehicle to a customer where I couldn't get a smile out of them. And that's a wonderful thing. There's still a lot of emotions when people buy cars, whatever they're buying, and that's great. That's what makes what we do so much fun. We affect so many people. I mean, 280 million vehicles on the road. I mean, there's there's a lot of interest.
yeah. No, those are great insights, and as I'm sitting here thinking how important this is, and I want to thank you for your time. I'm thinking about the technology and the fact that we're seeing more cars where they built the car around around a giant iPad, and that's getting, of course, already mainstream now. Tesla took that one and worked it, uh,
Hmm.
but that it seems like that was a big hit for the technology people, even people that didn't really want to understand how to use an iPad. Now they're all running around using it all day in their cars. So
Yeah, I think for your point, what Tesla did really well was to make the technology familiar to customers because it matched what a lot of them had on the 3.5-inch screen they carry with in their pockets all the time. So, kudos to, I'm not obviously I'm a dealer guy, but the
yeah,
kudos to Tesla for doing that. And I think hopefully most of our OEMs have done that. So yes, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Dennis.
I think they got in there. He got in there ahead of things, but it's pulling the whole industry, I think, down that track. But I like the fact that we're looking to and wanting to bring more non-car people into these roles, because they're all technology they're all technology enabled. It doesn't matter. I mean, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let's get new energy
Absolutely.
and new thinking in this area. Thank you for your time already, and thank you in advance for the next time we'll be able to talk.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's great to be on and look forward to this. And thanks for all you're helping the industry with. So I really appreciate that. You have a wonderful day.